All right, today we're going to dive into something called BioTE pellet therapy. Now, just so we're clear, all the information we're covering comes straight from Prestige Medical Group, a provider of this treatment. We're going to break down what they say it is, exactly how it's supposed to work, and the results they claim you can get. So let's jump right in.
Let's start with a question. I think many of us have been here. Have you ever had those days, or maybe it's been weeks or even longer, where you just feel off? You're tired, maybe a little snappy, and you're just not quite feeling like yourself.
So what's really behind that off feeling? Well, according to the materials we're digging into, the answer might be a little more biological than you'd think.
According to Prestige Medical, a lot of this often comes down to one simple thing: our hormones. They explain that as we get older, it's totally normal for hormone levels to start fluctuating. But we're not just talking about tiny little shifts here. These are the kinds of changes that can really have a major impact on how you feel every single day.
Okay, so what does that actually look like in real life? What are some of the signs that could point to a hormonal imbalance? This is where the source gets really specific.
First, let's just get on the same page. The source defines a hormonal imbalance pretty simply. It's when you have either too much or too little of a particular hormone in your system. And because your hormones are basically messengers for your entire body, even a small imbalance can cause some pretty big ripple effects.
And here's where you can really see how this plays out differently for people. For women, the source points to symptoms like fatigue, mood swings, and those infamous hot flashes. But for men, it talks about things like a low sex drive, losing muscle mass, or just feeling that mental fog. It's a great reminder that even if the root cause is similar, the way we experience it can be totally different.
So after laying out this whole problem and all the symptoms, of course, the source shifts to talking about a solution. And the way they frame it is pretty interesting. They pose it as a natural approach. So what exactly do they mean by that?
The specific solution they're presenting is called BioTE, bioidentical hormone pellet therapy. Now that's a bit of a mouthful, but the name itself actually gives us some big clues about how it's supposed to work. Let's break it down. The big keyword here is bioidentical. So what does that actually mean? Well, according to the source, these are hormones that come from plants, but they've been engineered so that on a molecular level, they're an exact match for the hormones your own body makes. The whole idea is that your body literally can't tell the difference.
And this quote from Prestige Medical Group really hammers that point home. They're drawing a really clear line here, setting their treatment apart from what they call traditional treatments by highlighting that it's plant-based and designed to perfectly mimic what your body does naturally.
Okay, so that's the theory behind it. But how does this all work in the real world? Let's walk through the actual step-by-step process they describe for this pellet therapy. So they lay it out as a 4-step journey. It all kicks off with a really comprehensive evaluation. They look at your symptoms, your medical history, your lab work, all of it. From there, they create a totally personalized plan just for you. Then comes the in-office procedure where these tiny little pellets, we're talking about the size of a grain of rice, are inserted just under your skin. And here's the magic, right? The final step. Those pellets do all the work, slowly and consistently releasing hormones over several months.
And the source puts a lot of emphasis on the pellet itself as a delivery method. They claim it's better because it gives you that steady, consistent dose of hormones. This helps you avoid the hormonal ups and downs you might get with daily creams or pills. Plus, let's be honest, from a practical standpoint, there's no daily pill to remember to take. You just get it done and you're set for months.
So you've gone through the whole process, the pellets are in, they're doing their thing, so what's the payoff? Let's take a look at the specific benefits that the source says patients might experience.
And wow, the list of potential benefits they share is pretty long. It includes all the things you might expect, right? Like having more energy, better mental clarity, sleeping better. But then it goes even further into broader wellness claims like stronger bones, healthier skin and hair, and even a boost to your immune system. They really frame it as a head-to-toe wellness solution. And beyond all those positive benefits, the source also makes a pretty big claim about safety. They say that because these bioidentical hormones are such a close match to our own, our bodies can process them more easily, which they claim leads to a lower risk of side effects compared to other synthetic options out there.
And that really brings us full circle, doesn't it? After looking at the problem of hormonal imbalance and the solution that BioTE therapy claims to be, it all comes down to this one question. For anyone out there who feels off, could something as small as a tiny pellet really be the key to getting that balance back and just feeling like yourself again? That's the big promise we've explored today.